Twitter right now is suing the U.S. government. They have filed a lawsuit in federal court claiming that the U.S. government, well, they're fighting them on the right to publish their full transparency of reports. And I think this is kind of interesting because with all this NSA stuff that we're hearing about, we know that the NSA can go into your Skype account and see your chats or whatever it is, or the video calls, or all the Facebook stuff and Gmail, et cetera, et cetera. Twitter is the most transparent because you're tweeting publicly. So the only really hidden thing in Twitter, I guess, is the DMs. So I do think that's kind of interesting. But we've got a quote from the Twitter representative. We filed a lawsuit in federal court seeking to publish our full transparency report and asking the court to declare these restrictions on our ability to speak about government surveillance as unconstitutional under the First Amendment. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is already considering the constitutionality of the non-disclosure provisions of the NSL law later this week. So this is interesting. As I said, Twitter does seem to be more transparent. Why is the most transparent social media company the one that's fighting the U.S. government, Kim?
I think it's great that they're fighting for transparency because, you know, we've seen this blowback on a lot of different social media and also email and different web platforms of, you know, hey, we have to tell you this is happening, but that's all we can say. Yeah. And I think, you know, it's only fair that they should be able to have some control over what happens in their own business. Yeah.
Is there any chance that they win this lawsuit? I mean, the NSA is just going to do what, right?
The Fed even if they win, like, they're going to do it anyway.
Right. Or that they, okay, congratulations, you won, and now we're going to figure out some backdoor channel to
take the information. Yeah. Well, I think it's unlikely at this point that they're going to win, which is why it's so unsurprising that they're publicizing the fact that they're fighting them. If you know that you're not going to be able to beat the U.S. government, why not at least get the sort of authenticity and credibility that comes from being seen to be trying to fight them? I mean, it's like sort of a, I don't know, a silver lining, I suppose, to the issue.
Have you guys kind of given up on the online privacy thing? You know, there was a point maybe 6 months ago where, especially around here and in most circles on the left at least, where we were talking about this constantly, right? Just constantly talking about it. And now I feel that people have just kind of resigned themselves. Sadly, obviously you haven't personally, the look you're giving me, but really the sort of broader community, I like the side eye, that the broader community has just kind of given up and been like, yeah, you know what, they're just going to do it and there's nothing we can do.
Well, it's easy to feel powerless because you almost literally are powerless, but I think you have to continue to fight back and show that you're not going willingly, and you have to struggle, and you have to, you know, send messages and call your congressperson, and you need to be united in forces like with the EFF. You can't just like lie down and give up, especially if it's, you know, your privacy. That's yours. That's sacred to you.
Yeah, and of course, you know, we're having all this stuff with net neutrality, and that's looking like it's going to disappear. And it seems to me we had the golden age of the internet. We had it, and now we're shifting. It was really good. It was free. It was free, and we got music, and it was there, and it was honest. And now we're going into something else. What should we call this evil phase that we're going into?
Step 2, I guess. I don't know, but
phase 2.
And it's scary. I just saw, you know, internationally, a lot of international ISPs are looking to see how the U.S. is going to rule on net neutrality. I think it's interesting that in a country like America that's known for being politically apathetic at the best of times, we've had a couple of big moments where we had like the protests against the war with Iraq originally, we had Occupy Wall Street, we had the fights over privacy in the wake of the Snowden revelations. But then, like, you can only galvanize people for so long, and out of Occupy Wall Street we got a little bit, but not much. But at least we are still talking about equality. And out of the fights over privacy, we got a little bit in Congress, but not much. But at least people are thinking about it to some extent. But you can't keep people.
They did get upset when they found out the NSA was spying on them.
Yeah, they weren't you make it personal for them.
Until Dianne Feinstein, they found out they were reading her emails. Then
Yeah. Well, as soon as John Boehner was involved in the fappening, I knew that he'd take it a little bit more seriously. But you can only keep people galvanized for so long. A year is pretty long to keep activists working.
Another reason I think Twitter is kind of the linchpin of this whole thing is, to me, it seems that everything going on in the world, all the revolutions that we see, all of the stuff going on in Ferguson and in Hong Kong and what happened in Egypt, it was all fueled by Twitter. That was the one. It wasn't Facebook. I never, if there's some breaking news, I never go to Facebook. I wouldn't even think of going to Facebook, but you do go to Twitter. So is Twitter sort of like the last bastion of this? Like, we really need Twitter to somehow remain independent, right?
Twitter can be a beautiful thing. I mean, we're able to hear about things that we wouldn't know about. Like, we learned about Ferguson so much after you know, so much like locking down and not speaking, but like people were able to talk and be public and be open, and that was beautiful. That's one of the best parts of the web and social media.
Yeah.
And I think as it becomes more ubiquitous, people are going to, or officials are going to want to tighten that down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that Twitter is still probably the premier service internationally for that sort of, I guess, crowdsourcing of protest. But we can't forget that while Twitter remains, you know, on top in America, internationally, there are regional and country-specific equivalents that might be taking over some of that responsibility.
Right. Have you guys signed up for ELO yet? That's what the kids are all. They're all on the ELO. Are you on the ELO? You're not on the ELO?
I'm in line for ELO.
Maybe I know a guy. I'll see what I can do for you. All right, final thought on this. What do you fear more, giant companies or giant government? It's a bit of a jump from where we started, but I think it's interesting. Where are we at now? Or is it the companies that we should fear, or is it the government? I don't know the answer. I used to always say that it was the government, that I fear giant government. Or do you fear them equally?
Sure.
Yeah?
I think
50-50.
this one is somewhat simple in that we benefit from, in America, the corporations have bought the government, so why not just fear them and you get both?
There you go. All right, we fear everybody around here.